Reaching Pelham Parkway. Transfer is available to the BX12 Select Bus Service.
This is an accessible station. The elevator is at the rear of the platform.
Backflips for $2, man. You gotta hit them, man. Come on, man. Yeah.
I need some more blind.
You think you Caucasian?
What?
Yeah, you think you Caucasian?
You better get... Do you think you Caucasian?
Do you think you Caucasian? Why you got some white hair?
Oh my goodness, Lord Jesus. This is blonde hair, Mariah.
Then why do you have white hair like you think you Caucasian?
Mariah, this is blonde hair.
Why do you think you Caucasian?
Get out of here, Mariah.
You think you Caucasian?
Move. Get out.
You don't think you Caucasian. You is brown. You think you Caucasian?
Mariah, I know what color I am.
You think you Caucasian?
No, I do not think.
You need to get some good pussy or something because it wouldn't be having you on the internet worried about me and my shit.
Took my daughter to go see The Little Mermaid in Orlando, and this happened.
Oh, I need a refund on my ticket. No. We getting a refund because No. Hey, excuse me. We need a refund.
What's going on?
This is a kid's movie. Oh my God.
We not
You sitting up in the line, your ass off. That's why the fans
listen. That's why your husband look like Master Splinter, right? Bum. You're a bum.
More
You're a
hair
bum.
than your
You're
wife
a bum.
under that
You're
lace
a bum.
front that you
You're a
stole
bum.
for her.
And you need ratings.
Where's your wife?
You bum. You're a
Where's
bum.
your
You're a
side
bum.
tooth?
You
Where
stink.
is your
You
side
stink.
tooth?
You're a bum.
No,
Okay.
you're a
but
bum.
you have my
say
name
that
in
you're a
your
bum.
mouth.
That's
You
why the
have
fans say you
my name
gotta
in your
eat.
mouth all the
That's why
time.
the fans
You bum.
say you
You're
gotta
a bum.
eat.
You're a
I don't
bum.
want to smell
Say
your breath
bum.
now. You got missing
Your
teeth.
husband
You ain't been
look
to
like
no
Master
dentist.
Splinter.
What about
Your husband is a
What
bum
about
too,
her?
right? Bum too.
What
And
about him?
Yeah.
My husband
Yeah,
in the house.
yeah.
Where's your
I don't
bitch?
know about a bitch. I think you might be one. You might be one.
Where's
You
your
might be
bitch?
one. You might
Where's
be
your
one.
bitch?
You
She
might
left.
you
She
might
went
you
back
might
to her
be one.
motherfucking daddy.
You might be
She went
you
back to
might
her
be one.
motherfucking daddy.
You're a bum.
Her daddy
You're a bum.
with them.
And politics is simply people interaction, or you may call people relations. And anything that people do in contact with other people is political. Sometimes people will say, well, you can't mix religion with politics. I think that logically speaking, that's incorrect, because religion is political if it has anything to do with people. Politics has to do with any interaction between people. So if you're going to have a functioning religion, you have to have people interacting with each other. Preachers refer to the Christian religion as their congregation, which means they are relating to people. They are interacting with people. They are talking to people from a pulpit on Sundays, usually. And they interact with people, I mean, in many, many other ways, according to their religious principles. You can't have a religion without people. Religions directed toward people in the traditional sense, and not other creatures. People are usually expected to be involved in religion. So if people are interacting with each other, that's politics. Anytime a person says good morning to another person, that's political. That's a political interaction. That's basic politics. Politics is not just going to the polls and voting. that is a form of politics, a segment of it, but that's not the general segment. The general segment is anything that people do or say, one person interacting with another, is political. And that's the way I have it in the book. And I think that that's accurate because I think that that's logical, and I think that that is also constructive. It's supposed to be constructive, accurate, logical, and constructive. That particular definition. People interaction, people relations, political, politics, polite, police, all has to do with people.
The system of white supremacy, racism, what it is and how it works is specifically designed and intended to result in both white people and non-white people thinking, speaking, and acting in a manner that is tragic, shameful, disgraceful, loathsome, contemptuous, grotesque, vulgar, obscene, indecent, etc. During the existence of white supremacy, the interactions between white people and non-white people, and between non-white people and each other, can best be described as tacky, trashy, and or terroristic, or the tragic arrangement. The term the tragic arrangement means the sum total of all of the things that non-white people and white people think, say, and do, or not think, say, and do in regards to their interactions with each other in all areas of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, war, and counter-war. The tragic arrangement has the effect of doing great harm to non-white people in regards to everything that they say and do in every area of activity. No part of the tragic arrangement that non-white people have with white people and with each other ever gets better than tacky. According to the evidence and based on compensatory counter-racist logic, the tragic arrangement is the result of the lack of will of the white people and the lack of the ability of the non-white people to do what is necessary to replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. The function within the system of white supremacy, and to function within the system of white supremacy, insanity is a requirement. And let me read that again. To function within the system of white supremacy, insanity is a requirement. Racist man and racist woman require that their victims cooperate in helping to maintain the system of white supremacy. To cooperate with the system of white supremacy is to promote an insane, out of balance way of thinking, speaking, and acting by all people. Welcome back. Welcome to On the Shoulders of Giants. Happy Monday. This is Joseph Ward, and I am continuing my review of Neely Fuller's groundbreaking book, The Compensatory Code, or better known as the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a compensatory counter-racist code, a textbook workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of white supremacy by the great elder Neely Fuller Jr. And I am picking up on area 6, which is politics. And as you saw the opening video, you saw the trashy, tacky, and terroristic behavior. And you also heard Neely Fuller say that politics is people interacting with each other at its core, at its base. Politics is people interacting with each other. And then to repeat it again, to function within the system of white supremacy, insanity is a requirement. So that explains our behavior and how we politic with each other. Black people in America, how we politic with each other. So in this episode, I'm going to be using the words politics, politic, and interact interchangeably. So going off compensatory logic, politics is how we interact with each other. So we're politicking, right? And we can see that not 100% across the board, but in too many of us in Black America, or just Black people throughout the world, how we interact with each other is trashy, tacky, and terroristic. And we are clearly insane. The system of white supremacy has driven us insane. But once again, insanity is a requirement. It's a requirement to continue a inhumane and unjust system. To continue an unjust system, you need to be insane. You need to be sane to produce and continue a justice. So this is the foundation that we setting for this section, for this area 6 politics. This is the foundation that we're setting. How we interact with each other and why we interact with each other the way we interact with each other, right? So let's continue. So this part is saying the quality relationship, right? So what is needed is a functional, codified quality relationship to replace the tragic arrangement, right? And once again, the tragic arrangement is the result of the lack of the will of white people and the lack of the ability of the non-white people to do what's necessary to replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. So the tragic arrangement is both white people and non-white people are willing and are conscious and unconscious participants in the continuation of the system of white supremacy. That's the tragic arrangement. So let's explore the quality relationship. So what is needed is a functional, codified quality relationship to replace the tragic arrangement. What is needed is the universal lifestyle expressed through the use of truth and in such a manner as to result in justice and correctness. What is needed is for every person to function as a universal man or a universal woman, speaking and acting in every area of activity in a manner that guarantees that no person is mistreated and guarantees that the person who needs help the most gets the most constructive help. Corrective actions. Behaving in a manner that can produce justice, not behaving in a manner that is insane. We are reacting to the insanity that we were born in. You merely adopted the insanity. I was born in it, right? This is how we were made. Negroes were made to be destructive. Think about that. It's a survival mechanism for the system of white supremacy. Negroes were made to be destructive. Look at the opening clips. Look at our behavior. We can see this everywhere. All of these behaviors were either recorded by the individuals or recorded by others in public and then put out. They recorded it. The actions happened. They recorded it and then put it out. Some of them was live streams. Negroes were made to be destructive. The quality relationship means that there is a total absence of pretense, dishonesty, deception, falsehood, etc. in regards to everything that people say and do in all of their interactions with each other in every area of activity, and that all of those activities produce a constructive result. The constructive result would be the improvement of our society, improvement of the way we live, the absence of white supremacy, the existence of justice, living absent of white supremacy. Living in a true society that truly produces justice will help to cure all of the ills. We talk about a lot of the disparities that exist within our communities. I've been working in my community for 13, 14 years. I've for a while, I banged my head against the wall because all of the community work that I've done with I've done with a lot of people in the community. I've said it before, I say it again. We realize we're only putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. I'm still in my community, but I have a better understanding now of what it takes to change the overall conditions, what it takes to change the overall behavior. Yes, crime, greed, jealousy, envy, all these things. Think about all the disparities that follow poverty. But what creates poverty? Why does poverty exist? Poverty doesn't just exist because a group of people wake up one day and say that they just don't want to do good. No, those conditions were created and those people were placed in those conditions. Those people don't have the power to change their immediate conditions. They were overpowered and they were put there by a group of people who are in charge of them, in control of them. And so until the people are able to gain the power to change their situation, to oppose racism, that's the root of everything. That doesn't take away personal responsibility, but it gives a clearer picture of what we're dealing with. In order to change what's happening outside in our communities, we got to understand none of the work that we do will be truly significant until the system of white supremacy is replaced with justice, or all of the actions that we're doing is simultaneously helping to improve the community and replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. Unless we're going to continue putting band-aids on bullet wounds. Politics, right? How we politic with each other, how we strategize. All of that matters, but understanding the root cause of everything. If you build something on racist soil, you will get decrepit outcomes. Welcome to America. So, universal man, universal woman. It is important to remember that all people, both white and non-white, should at all times do what they can to evolve swiftly into universal man and universal woman, right? The terms universal man and universal woman applies to any male and for any female person who knows and understands truth and who has used that knowledge and understanding in a manner that has produced justice and correctness in all places and in all areas of activity. Our job is to evolve into universal man and universal woman in order to change our situation, in order to have a brighter future for our children. If we want our descendants to have a brighter future, we have to transform ourselves into universal man and universal woman. And as I was reading this yesterday, I talked about it last week, but I'm going to hammer it home a little more this week. It is imperative, and I'm talking. Before I go into this, let me say, I am talking to myself first. I'm not just saying this, but I'm talking to myself first, because it doesn't matter if I don't adopt it, if I don't practice what I preach, don't none of this matter. Don't none of this matter. If any of you ever hear that I am not practicing what I'm preaching, stop messing with me. I'm dead serious. If you ever hear that I'm not practicing what I'm preaching, stop messing with me. I'm telling you to stop messing with me. Don't follow somebody. And I'm not saying I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, but I'm just saying we have the tendency to continue to support people who ain't doing what they're supposed to do, right? If I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, stop following me. But it is our obligation to become the greatest version of ourselves. It's our obligation to be the best that we can be, to put our best foot forward. We understand the system of white supremacy. That fighting white supremacy doesn't mean that we have to become the evil that they are. It means we need to learn how to kick their asses, yes, but we don't have to become what they are. We are becoming what they are. We have assimilated into their culture and become what they are. We don't become what they are. We become the best of who we can ever be. We be the best Black people in America that we can be. We don't be the greatest Black version of white people. No, we be the best version of Black people, the descendants of African people. We be the greatest of that, not the greatest version of white people. No, we have to reverse the assimilation. So therefore we can truly replace the system of white supremacy. Otherwise, we just upholding it. We just supporting it. We just support beams. No. That's not what we're here for. But the problem is the system of white supremacy is the only thing we know. It's the only way we know to exist. That's why counter-racist information is important, so we can have a paradigm shift and think different and live different. So all of our actions can be just actions pushing to end the system of white supremacy. According to compensatory logic, there is reason to believe that the very best arrangement as it pertains to all people of the known universe would be and should be a correctly evolved people who function with maximum mutual constructive harmony. They would do this at all times, in all places, and in all areas of activity. Constructive harmony. Mutual constructive harmony, evolved people who function with maximum mutual constructive harmony. Can say it better myself. The evolution of the black man and black woman starts now. If you really want a better future, the evolution of us starts now. We have to evolve into better versions of ourselves. Be better. Do better. That village that we keep talking about, raising these children, we got to exist in the village. You've seen the first video. I don't know exactly what happened in the clips. I don't know exactly what happened in the Little Mermaid movie. But what that did remind me of, and what I'm saying now reminds me of, we can't even correct each other. We can't even correct each other. That's how far gone we are. But I will say, in understanding the game, you can correct black people, but you can't correct niggas. And remember, they were made to be destructive. And so it's the evolution from the Negro mindset to that upstanding black person, to that proud black person. All right? Really representing the ancestors who really stood 10 toes down for us. Really representing them. So he has some compensatory suggested basic characteristics of universal man, and with 4 universal women could be as follows. And so there is a long list of these suggested characteristics. I'm going to read you some of them. So, oh yeah, and I forgot to say, this is area 6 starts on page 167. So in this video, I read from page 167 to 187. And politics is a long section. So this is the first part of politics. So, but let me read this list of characteristics. So, universal man, universal woman does not knowingly say anything that is not true. Does not knowingly say anything that is not true, but you do your due diligence. Does not knowingly withhold any information from anyone who needs it for constructive purposes. Speaks and acts to end racism and replace it with justice in all areas of activity. Speaks and acts to support all constructive activity and to oppose all mistreatment and all non-correct interaction between people, creatures, and things. Makes willful and deliberate contact with people for planned constructive purposes only that are carefully designed to produce a constructive result. Avoids all conversation and all communication that is not necessary or is non-constructive. Speaks and acts with maximum courtesy towards people and does not curse or name call them. Does not rob, does not steal. Eats and sleeps correctly only as necessary. Speaks and acts to solve problems without making any. Does not seek to acquire those things that serve little or no constructive purpose. Does not seek to decrease clutter. Does seek to decrease clutter and does nothing to attract unnecessary or non-constructive attention to himself or herself. Engages in sexual intercourse no more than 2 times every 7 days and uses a minimum of time and materials in regard to such engagement. And if you notice, these are points from previous sections. and he's putting together, hey, these are some of the characteristics, going back a review of these are some of the standout characteristics that we need to make sure that we continue to talk about, we continue to employ, because we are on the plane of we're evolving from the Negroes. We're going back from man to Superman. We're going from the Negroes to the upstanding Black people in America. We have to evolve our minds, our spirits, our bodies, everything. Everything. Inappropriate behavior goes to our diets and the way we are, our health. It even goes into our health. That's a part of this. That's a part of the game. That's part of, think about it. Like at a time where racism is not as in your face as it was 50 to 100 years ago, even 100 years ago, our health issues. That's how you know this system is more than just physical, the evolution of the system. Some people say, and I get it, I get a point, the root. I hear people talk about how obesity in the Black community is tied to racism. Racism is the root of it. It's the root of it. But the fact of the matter is, at a time where people face more real racism in their face, they wasn't as obese. Yes, the root of it is racism, but the fact that each and every person who's Black in America is not obese, that means that we can and have the will, and we can create the will, we can build up the will, we can build up the mindset, we can build up the habits to better our health. But we have to evolve as people. We have to evolve the way we think about family. The way family means nothing to us anymore. Family means nothing. It's just hunching and having kids. Hunching and busting, hunching and busting, hunching and busting off, having kids, not building families, not building structures, not building foundations. All these things are clear indicators of how we are helping to prop up and continue the system of white supremacy. Negroes were made to be destructive, and Negroes were made to help continue the system of white supremacy, evolving that Negro mindset. So here's a note that Neely Fuller has. The basic goal of every supporter of the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept is and must be to evolve into a universal way of life in which, one, no person will put to death another person for any reason or mistreat another person, and two, every person will seek to help every other person for no reason other than that help is needed in order to maintain justice and correctness. And so now, let's move into the law of interaction. So here's the first question. No, I like these questions. The question is, what is the compensatory law of interactions between people? The answer is, seek to be in contact with another person only when necessary to do so in order to say or do something if needed, of needed constructive value. At all other times, seek to be alone, study alone, work alone, and communicate with your higher power. So the explanation is, in a socio-material system in which people of the known universe interact with one another in a manner that is non-just, it is best to minimize conflict and confusion between people by minimizing contact, except for purposes that are both constructive and specific. Stay away from destructive people. We're not going to be able to save everybody. This information is not for everybody. This channel is not for everybody. The builders of tomorrow, it's not everybody. This is not for everybody. We can't save everybody. So those that are too far gone, we have to get away from them and spend as little time around them as possible. If our interactions are not just and constructive, what we doing? If we ain't winning, if we can't win, we can't be friends. If we can't win, we can't be friends. If we're not working to make things better, why are you around me? I be by myself a lot. I be at the house chilling, learning, creating content, all of that. I do my best to be as constructive as possible. The evolutionary process is happening with me. I can say that I have not fully evolved because I still have, and I'm going to say yes, I still have some non-constructive behavior and activities that I indulge in. But the evolutionary process is happening right now. I am working to every day to eliminate all non-constructive behaviors, ideas, thoughts, and actions in people. So, but we got to be real. We got to be real, but let's not act like just because we're reading the book that we've already evolved. No. We're reading the book so we can learn how to get there. But that's why we read the book, so we can learn how to get there. So let's not create no illusions of grandeur like I'm already there, somebody's already there. No, we are on a journey together to get better together, to evolve our minds and our spirits together. All right. So every day, all day, wherever you are, ask yourself these 4 questions. What do I want to do? Why do I want to do what I want to do? How do I plan to do what I want to do? And what do I expect the constructive result to be? The explanation is there's reason to believe that every person and every creature in the known universe wants to do something. Eat, sleep, feel, move, communicate. It is important to find the truth about what a person wants to do in regards to any situation that may have an effect on what you do, may have an effect on what you want to do. What I do affects other people. What other people do affects me. My behavior, our behavior affects each other, whether you want to agree with it or believe it or not. If I decide not to bathe, if I say, you know what, no more bathing for me. No more bathing for me. I'm just gonna pee on myself. I ain't gonna wipe good. I ain't gonna bathe. I ain't gonna bathe, no brush my teeth. But I'm gonna still come around you. I'm gonna get all up in your face and interact with you. Put my arm around you. Right? Say all H and P, H words. How you doing? Huh? Why y'all don't want to come closer to me and talk to me in my face? That's going to affect you. That's going to affect you. Think about your behavior, whether you like it or not, your behavior affects other people. All right. So there's also reason to believe that if every person in the known universe told himself or herself the truth about what he or she wants most in regards to all areas of activity, there would probably be less confusion, less disappointment, and less hypocrisy. If every person knew the truth about what every other person in the known universe wanted most and why, all conflicts between people would probably be settled sooner rather than later, and probably with results that are more constructive. Communicate, be honest. Be honest about your intentions up front. Basically, be intentional and be honest about your intentions up front. Remember, all of these are things that we must be doing to change our situation under the system of white supremacy. Because the system of white supremacy exists, there's no such thing as normal. It's only insanity. Insanity is the norm, which is not normal, or shouldn't be normal, rather. So insanity is the norm. So in understanding that we are insane, and we have been operating in insane manners for a while, and insanity is the norm, is to change the insane nature of us. That's why our behavior is the way it is, because we are insane. The system of white supremacy has made us insane. When a person seriously wants something, he or she is likely to do whatever it takes to get it. When a person seriously wants something, he or she is likely to do whatever it is to get it. If So our behaviors and our actions show that we don't really want justice as a whole, right? As a whole. But what about the critical masses? What about the individuals that you do know? The individuals that support me on this channel, the builders of tomorrow. So we got to do what's needed to get justice. Minimize conflict by minimizing all unnecessary or non-constructive contact. Try using most of your time alone and or in communication with what you regard as the creator. So when you think that you want to, when you think that you desire to be in contact with one or more people, ask yourself why. Be willing to tell yourself and others the truth about why you desire to be in contact with him or her. And also ask yourself, so these are the suggestions, like being upfront and truthful and intentional about your intentions and everything, your actions while you're interacting with people. And then he's also saying, ask yourself these questions. I'm not going to give you all the questions, but these are some of the questions he's saying to ask yourself. Do I want to be in contact with another person in order to say or do something to help replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice? Do I want to be in contact with another person in order to say or do something to show off and or to seek praise for myself? Do I want to be in contact with another person in order to engage in sexual intercourse or sexual play? Do I want to be in contact with another person in order to engage in anti-sexual behavior? So, do I want to be in contact with another person in order to gossip or to give or receive information about a person with the intent of causing not just harm? So these are some of the questions. Overall, what's the why? What's the why? What's the why? What's the overall outcome you're looking for? Here's another question. And this is under the section of people activity in general. How should a person try to start his or her day? Now, I like this. This is one thing that caught my attention because it's the habits that I'm building for myself. I'm not saying I do it every day, but these are the habits that I'm building for myself. So the answer is, question once again, how should a person try to start his or her day? The answer is by minimizing conflicts. Try to start every day thoughtfully and pleasantly. Try to start every morning as quietly as possible, speaking softly, say good morning to people, but try not to say anything else unless it is unnecessary to do so. So the explanation is, right, it is correct for every person to try to start each day in a manner that is quiet, thoughtful, considerate, and constructively productive. It is correct for every person to interact with others in a manner that will best help to produce a civilized world. So I meet a lot of people who vocalize that they start their day as the worst version of themselves. They're rude. They can describe themselves as monsters. They're rude. They're coarse. They act like curmudgeons. And then you meet me. And I tell you, I don't give a damn about none of that. If you can choose to be a butthole in the morning, I can choose to be a butthole at any time of the day that I want to. Now, the object of saying that is not to create a back and forth and to get into a tick for tack being mean. But what I am saying is you're crazy if you think that just because it's the morning time that you can choose to be a butthole. No. Just like it's crazy to think that I can just pop up at any time of the day and just be a butthole. I don't care that you just woke up. I don't care that it's 3 o'clock. I don't care that you just got off work. You should be putting forth the effort to be the best version of yourself and control yourself and your behavior. Give yourself time to wake up. Give yourself time to whatever. But don't automatically go from 0 to 100. That is not constructive. That doesn't help to build relationships. That is not okay. And we're not even going to let you think that that's something that you should be doing and you're going to continue to do it. Not with me. Or I will minimize contact. Do not allow any person to be more courteous than you are. Bam. Do not allow any person to be more courteous than you are. Great courtesy is a value that you owe to yourself. When you ask a person a question, wait for the answer. Wait for the person to answer it. Do not try to answer the question that you ask unless the person asks for help in doing so. Do not ask someone to speak and then interrupt because you do not agree with what was said. All right? Here go some more questions. I like these questions. And this is these pages, this page 74 and 174 and 175 is just a series of questions. Not going to ask and answer all the questions, just some of them, right? So, question: what is the basic and correct thing to say about white people and non-white people liking each other? So the answer is, say, considering the tragic arrangement agreed upon by non-white people and white people, there is no sane reason for non-white people and white people to like each other or to like themselves. Like, if you really understand what's going on, if you really understand the system of white supremacy, what it is and how it affects everything, there should be no reason for you to be liking your oppressor. Now, I know a lot of people get on Dr. Umar Johnson about a lot of things, but I do not disagree with him about the interracial dating thing. I'm not going to go as far as he is, but I do not disagree with him. I just do not understand how we can look at our oppressors and the agents of the system of white supremacy and think that we should build families with them and have children with them. That's just my opinion. And for the record, I don't have an issue with any other person from any other group of people who only want to marry their own people. I agree with them. I don't disagree with them. I say it again. If a white person say I only date white people, I only marry white people, I don't have a problem with that. The Asian person say they only marry Asian people, I don't have a problem. That's how you think people continue their groups. You think the majority of people really want to dilute their group because a few people do? Nah, man. Most people marry their own people and reproduce with their own people. So it's not a racist thing. Don't let these people get y'all up. People who only want to be with their own people are racist. No, they're not. It's what people do. So the question: what is the best and correct thing to say to a person who says to you, I don't like non-white people, or I don't like you because you are non-white? The answer is, say, thank you for telling me. What do you intend to do about it? What do you suggest that I do about it, and why? And ultimately, he's saying, do not argue about the answers you get, but just, ask questions. And Neely Fuller is big on asking questions and asking correct questions and precise questions, right? Like I said last week. They ask you, when they tell you they don't like black people, say, okay, thank you for telling me. What do you intend to do about it? What do you suggest that I do about it, and why? Otherwise, hey, you telling me, folks. But thank you for telling me. Now I know. Now I know where you at. But hey, you telling me, folks. So here's another question. When justice is finally produced, should white people be included? And the answer is yes. Justice must include all people. If it does not include all people, it is not justice. It would be another form of supremacy. And what he's getting at is, if we're going to replace the system of white supremacy, we can't replace that system with another form of supremacy if the overall goal is justice. You have to replace white supremacy with pure justice. You can punish and get rid of all the white supremacists, but the other ones, be just. Here's another question. Is it correct for a person to be so-called racially colorblind? Hell no. That's the answer. No, it is correct for people to see color and see whatever else needs to be seen in order to know and understand truth. Color exists. Colors can be seen. The colors that should be seen, people with or without color should be treated correctly. And another thing he's getting at with that is, not only is the colorblind thing insane to be saying that I don't see color, it's also insane to dismiss that we are dominated about the system of white supremacy. Be truthful. Be truthful about it. Be real about it. And then change it. We don't say it to make each other feel bad or say it to be like, these are negative. The truth ain't negative. The truth ain't speaking negative. The truth is telling the truth. If you and I are in the school together and I whoop you every day, I'm whooping on you every day. You can go around saying, I don't dominate you if you want to, but the reality is I dominate you every day. And so what you gonna do about it? So if you don't like me dominate you, then you're gonna have to rise up and whoop me. Let's stop acting like we don't know the answer to the test. We just don't know how to get to the answer. That's our problem. So here's another question. What are the 3 things that non-white people should limit themselves to doing with each other? The answer is, as long as white supremacy exists, no non-white person should associate with each other, seek each other's presence, or talk with each other except for the following purposes. 1, to producing, repairing, cleaning, maintaining, or studying something of constructive value that is to be used for a constructive purpose. 2, exchanging views about methods of ending white supremacy and about methods of producing justice and balance between people. 3, engaging in constructive sexual intercourse, but no more than 2 times a week. Here's a great note. This is a great note. Be deliberately and mutually limiting the total number of times that sexual intercourse can be enacted in a 7-day period, no more than 2 times. Non-white males and females can greatly improve the quality of constructive communication during their visits with each other. This type of visitation plan will help to decrease the amount of time and energy devoted to acts of sexual intercourse and help to reduce the number of conflicts, misunderstandings, and or unwanted pregnancies that is often associated with the time, place, and circumstances of sexual intercourse. This type of visitation plan may also increase the pleasures that are usually associated with mutual sexual intercourse. If we get to know each other better, if we communicate better, if we are because the joke is, or the saying is, basically we only like each other when we're having sex, between black people especially. The running saying is, we only like each other when we're laying down. We only like each other when we're naked. We only like each other when we're having sex. And so Neely Fuller is suggesting, to be able to get past that insane behavior, spend less time with your clothes off, hunching, and spend more times with your clothes on, building. If you spend more time building with each other, communicating with each other, talking with each other, learning each other, you would see whether you need to move forward with this person or not. Maybe you and this person shouldn't be having sex. Maybe we need to have a couple good conversations before we have sex. Like that, the song the Dead Prayers have. Let's talk about mind sex. You ain't got to take your clothes off yet. Let's have a good conversation before we make love. Let's have a good conversation. I'm talking about some mind sex. I like to know what I'm getting into. Doing different things. Not continuing the insane behaviors. So this section of the area, he's really getting at talking about how we interact with each other, limiting interactions with. He's real big on limiting interactions with each other, because most of the interactions that we have with each other right now is not constructive. And because most of the interactions that we have is not constructive, everything that we're doing is helping to continue the system of white supremacy, and we're further and further away from justice, and injustice is the norm. So for justice to be the norm, we have to evolve. And one of the ways that we can spend time evolving is spending more time by ourselves and less non-constructive time with each other, interacting with each other having interactions with each other that can cause more conflict between each other. You saw the opening clips. too much conflict between each other because of the insane, the insane nature or the insane state that we're in right now. Because we're not in our right minds. We're in our white minds, but not in our right minds. We exist like this, but it's all by designs, because what Negroes were what? Designed to be destructive. It's all part of the game. It's all a part of the game. Be willing to help all people who are in the greatest need of help, particularly during conditions of great and destructive emergencies, or during periods of destruction by the forces of the known and unknown universe. According to compensatory logic, when such conditions present themselves, it is best and correct for all people to be willing to do that which may help to result in humane ways of thinking, speaking, and acting between and among the people of the known universe, white and non-white. Here's another question. I like the questions. What is the correct thing to say when a person who is known to have done great and deliberate unjust harm to others becomes sick, injured, killed, or in some way experiences great misfortune? The answer is say nothing other than to inform those who need to know. So in this, especially these series of questions and things, he's saying, once again, we're not going to continue or repeat unjust actions. We're not going to continue or repeat non-just actions. All of our actions will be just. So even if our mortal enemy dies, we will not give them the satisfaction of behaving like them. In order to throw off this insane mentality that we have to have a total overhaul of how we exist. Everything that the system of white supremacy gave us, we have to give it back. Everything. And until we do that, we will continue to uphold the system. So just because our enemies exist in this specific manner, yes, they will celebrate our demise, but we won't celebrate their demise because we won't stoop ourselves to continue to exhibit insane behavior. Teach and train yourself to never be jealous or envious of anyone for any reason. Teach and train yourself to stop wanting what you do not need and to want only what you need that will best help you to produce justice. When you know that you are jealous or envious of what someone has or what someone is doing, ask yourself the following questions. And these are 4 questions. Do I know and understand why I am jealous or envious? That's the first question. Second question, am I jealous or envious because I think that I should be jealous or envious, or because I think others expect me to be? 3, what exactly is it that a person has that I want? And if I had what they have, what exactly would I do with it? And when? How often and for what reason? If I was doing exactly what the other person is doing, would I really want to do it? And if I did want to do it, when would I want to do it? How often and for what reason? And the 4th question is, what is the true worth of what let me read that again. What is the true worth of what I have when I have what I have is not being seen, heard, touched, or thought about by me? What's the true worth of something that I have when I'm not contemplating about it, when I'm not thinking about it? What's the true worth of it? Or do I want this thing because someone else wants it? Do I want to be in somebody else's position? You got to basically check your envy, check your jealousy, checking yourself. Why are you thinking like that? That's not how real ones think. That's not how evolved Black people think. Evolving from Negroes to Black people. It's not how we think. We move better. We exist better. We uplift, empower, encourage. We're the opposite. We don't take no junk from nobody. You're not finna run over us, but we're not gonna exist in the same manner that you've been existing, because it's insane. There's another question. Why is the very best thing to say in general what is the very best thing to say in general conversation when you are not certain of what to say in response to a statement made to you? And his continuous answer is, that's interesting. When somebody come at you with left hand stuff and some crazy stuff, Hey man, that's interesting. That's interesting. So do not act as if it is necessary to comment on everything that happens. Say nothing that is not of substantial and that is not a substantial improvement on the silence. Always reveal truth, that which is, but do so in such a manner that the production of justice, balance between people, is best promoted. Just because somebody wants you to say something, or just because you can say something, don't mean you got to say something. Sometimes you just need to be quiet, especially if what you have to say overall is not constructive. We're not asking whether you think it's constructive, but overall in practice, is it constructive? Because we remove this is a big thing too, because this is causing us to remove ego from ourselves and learn to be a team player with under the compensatory code. It's not just about you, it's about us. Can some of you all handle not being in the spotlight? Can some of you handle it not being about you? So here's a question. What is the correct thing to say when people criticize the general behavior of non-white people? The answer is, say, during the existence of white supremacy, all non-white people are directly or indirectly taught, led, and or forced to behave in a manner of monsters and monstrosities. This is one of the things I want to get to. The monsters and the monstrosities. So, the system of white supremacy is scientifically designed to produce only two types of behavior in non-white people: the behavior of monsters and the behavior of monstrosities. The term monsters applies to any greatly destructive behavior by non-white people who, for whatever reason, are subject to and or victims of white supremacy, and who willfully and deliberately do major unjust harm to any person. The monsters, the N-words, the monsters. The term monstrosity behavior applies to the general behavior of a non-white person who is subject to and or is a victim of white supremacy and does not have the will or the ability to end white supremacy. So you're either a monster or you're a monstrosity, right? These terms sometimes explain that in the system of white supremacy, all non-white people are from birth systematically trained and forced to think, speak, and act in a manner of monsters and or monstrosities. This is one of the basic requirements of racist man and racist woman. Negroes were made to be destructive. Negroes were made to be destructive. Negroes were made to be destructive. I said Negroes were made to be destructive. Monsters of monstrosities. Either you were made to be a destructive Negro, or you're a Negro who doesn't have the will to end the system of white supremacy, or you don't have the resources to end the system of white supremacy. But shout out to people who do have the will, but we don't have the resources. But shout out for having the will. So you're either a monster or a monstrosity. Get out of your feelings. Don't get in your feelings about this. Get in our feelings about changing it. I'm in the monstrosity category. I have the will, but I ain't got no resources. So that's why we got to get our stuff together so we can get these resources. So the next question is, what can you do to stop non-white people from hating themselves and each other? The answer is as long as white supremacy exists, there's nothing that anyone can do that will stop non-white people from hating themselves and each other. As long as white supremacy exists, non-white people can only attempt to minimize conflict by avoiding all contact with each other, except for the purposes of helping each other to accomplish specific deeds that serve constructive purposes. These specific deeds must include speaking and or acting according to a counter-racist code that is specifically designed to help produce the end of white supremacy and help replace it with a system of justice. Remember, it's designed for us to hate ourselves. It's designed to do that. The system of white supremacy is designed for us to hate ourselves. So those of us who don't hate ourselves, congratulations. You have done a great job of helping yourself to better be in position to end the system of white supremacy. but it is designed for us to hate ourselves. So when you see Negroes who hate themselves, understand why they hate themselves, because they were born to hate themselves. They were born to be destructive. You have to hate yourself to be destructive. So what is the correct thing to say when someone says that non-white people should take responsibility or that non-white people should be responsible? The answer is ask the following questions. 1, non-white people should take the ability to respond to what? From what should non-white people take the ability to respond? What should non-white people do with the responsibility that they have taken? How should a non-white person get the power to respond in the way that he or she should respond to who, what, when, where, and how in order to do what, for what reason? Getting on, hey man, what you asking all the questions for, Cuz? Because you asked the question, Cuz. All right, now. So here's another question. Is it correct to say that non-white people say many things that are not true? Yes, that's the answer. Yes. In order to survive within the system of white supremacy with fewer problems, it is absolutely necessary to say things that are not true. Black folk get up in front of the media and say all type of crazy stuff that ain't true. Survival, insanity, insane survival. Within the system of white supremacy, non-white people are forced by the white supremacists to say many things that are not true, both to and about themselves, and both true and about I messed that up. Let me read that again. Within the system of white supremacy, non-white people are forced by the white supremacists to say many things that are not true, both to and about themselves, and both to and about white people. When the truth is told, it is allowed to be told and expected to be told, mostly in a manner that has the effect of being amusing, confusing, mildly interesting, and or supportive of insane thought, speech, or action. Basically, in the system of white supremacy, for those who are trying to survive and excel within the system of white supremacy, they have to follow the rules. And then following the rules, you never tell the truth, because telling the truth may lead to some kind of justice being produced. And in order for the system of white supremacy to continue, you have to make sure injustice is the norm. And so keep these Negroes insane so we can keep this injustice going. Insane niggas are the best niggas for the system of white supremacy. Here's another question. What are some of the best and correct things to say when something happens that should not happen that involves white people with non-white people during the existence of white supremacy? The answer is say one or more of the following. To the extent that a white supremacist has had anything to do with it, the white supremacists are to blame. To the extent that white supremacists are involved, these events should be expected. Considering the tacky, trashy, and terroristic arrangement that non-white people and white people have agreed upon, these events should be expected. If any non-white person are unjustly harmed as a result of these events, it is correct to directly or indirectly blame the system of white supremacy. Many people have been harmed who should not have been harmed. Many other people are blamed. The people who are the most to blame are hiding in plain sight, the white supremacists. So at the end of the day, yes, a lot of crazy stuff happened, but it is white people's fault because they made us this way. They made us be insane. They want us to be insane, so you're going to get this insane behavior. But the bad thing for us is the insane behavior helps to continue the system of white supremacy. Last question. What is the correct thing to say when asked if racism is individual or institutional? Dum, da, dum, dum, dum. Say racism is both individual and institutional. Racism is institutionalized in everything that is said and done or not said and done by every individual person who participates in and or who does not effectively oppose the practice of racism, white supremacy. It's both individual and institutional, both. You have to be able to recognize that to accurately see it, diagnose it, and then be able to begin to expel it. It's both institutional and individual. The system of racism, the system of white supremacy, right? It evolves. It gets better. It refines itself over time. But it needs us to participate. It needs us to participate in the system of racism, white supremacy. If we don't participate, we don't become active participants in it, we will oppose it. And if we are opposing it, then that would hinder its existence. And why would they want to hinder their existence? So in this first section, we're learning that politics is how we interact with each other. Politicking, how we politic with each other. How we interact with each other. It's politics under the compensatory code system concept. Politics is how we are interacting with each other. And as of right now, our interactions are trashy, tacky, and terroristic with a side of insanity. Only insane people will behave the way we behave because it's knowingly and unknowingly upholding the system of white supremacy. So that's how it works. We got to take the chains off our minds, the chains off our spirits, and the chains off our will. So that's all for this first part. Remember, I read from page 167 to 187. We will pick up on the next section of the politics. I probably read from 188 to 218, from 188 to 218 for the next section. So make sure you get your read on. Happy Monday. Start your day off great. Remember, be the greatest version of a Black person that you can be. Start your day off right. Be great, be good, be just. Be just, be correct, be constructive. Black power. Love y'all. See y'all next time.